Today we do have another topic, as I promised you, to discuss in human clone, which is about Moses and the cloned species at his time. First we have to speak about the baseline of the population. We do have Israeli people who has been enslaved by the immoral pharaoh at Egypt after being living in harmony with Egyptians and other neighborhood nations like Libya, Sudan, and the land of Kanan. So what Pharaoh did, he raped their women, he killed their sons, he abused them in building the pyramids, he spreads fear and despair till a degree that it has caused structural changes in them, and the fear became panic disorder that has been inherited from parents to kids. While his mother, which is apparently fearful and deprived, she was multipara. Her pregnancy wasn't recognized by others. She had unwitnessed, unassisted spontaneous vaginal delivery. Possibly her pregnancy wasn't recognized because of a small birth weight, due to deprived mother, versus proportion baby to the mother size. Anyhow, whose apparently fearful mother didn't surrender her newly born son to the pharaoh to be killed, but instead she was instructed to throw him in water by God, and she asked his sister to follow him. The day she threw the child was on Saturday, where God seated on his throne, on his throne on water. Well, after that newly born kid reached the Pharaoh house, he was picked up by his wife, and he was named Moses, which means rescued as a foundling in water. He shall be raised by the king Pharaoh as son, and he would be later the redemption of Israel and the killer of the tyrant. So the first clone we have is Moses' clone. Moses' clone came as God was seated on his throne on water on Saturday. His aura-imprint has been transferred to and love as well, has been transferred to the rapidly dividing cells of the newborn. Moses resulted in alteration of his genome and his nafs. So by the time when he was matured, he had superpower body ability, and his nafs was matured as God Nafs, and that was the gift of. He was the only prophet that he had that gift. He said in our Quran, فلما بلغ اشده واستوى اتيناه حكما وعلما. استوى, the only prophet that he said about him استوى, and was synonymous to his nafs when he told about himself علمه شديد القوى ذو مرة فاستوى. So after his growth was completed, he had his nafs character matured like God Nafs, and so later on he would be able to hear and talk to God. From this clone, why? So let's repeat why this Moses clone came, who is the only prophet who has this character, that God has showered his love on him, and he shall be loved. He also grew under a supervision of God, and his nafs was matured like God. So, from the story of Moses, we have several clones that we need you to know. First clone, as we said, is Moses' clone. He had superpower body ability, so he could hear and talk to God. He can kill a man by one finger. He can illuminate at night by his light, especially from his axilla. His nafs and has huge illumination ability through which the wings was revealing and he could fly. He can hold his axilla and so his hand can illuminate. He has ability to create, so he created snake from stick by transferring his body energy into his stick. By transferring his body energy to his stick, he could blast water from the ground. He could crystallize the seawater so he can walk, he and his loyal Israeli people, on that crystallized water to the other side of the sea, and was followed by Pharaoh, at which the crystalline water melted and the Pharaoh fell in the sea. And obviously he died. So that is number one, his ability to create. Extra to Jesus' ability, and that is also revealing in his ability to making, breathe, reproduce very quick. So he had ability to enhance fecundity, reproduction, and maturity of species. He has ability to heal, and that represented in healing his tongue during his childhood. He has ability to turning dead into life, and that is represented when the 70 soldier with him has been struck with thunder as a punishment. God has returned them by his will into life. He also could turn it into life by a cow clone, that yellow cow clone that we will speak later about it. So the first clone we said was Moses' clone. The second clone was Pharaoh immorality clone, and Moses, through which to which he tried his best in treating him psychosocially. So he was counseling him, he showed him his miracles, but never responded, as there was structural changes in his body. So the ultimate penalty came and he died. There is no way he could treat him. Then the third clone was Israili chronic fear clone. So that was revealing by panic disorders whenever they face an issue, being asked by Moses to fight Pharaoh. They would say, "Go, you and your God, to fight. Go to fight. We will stay here. We cannot fight with you. Go, you and your God." Meaning they have a very severe fear that they can't even move from their place to fight for themselves. And that has been treated psychosocially through Moses. So he keep counseling them, reassuring them that God be with them. He showed them his miracles. He ended the oppressor Pharaoh. He moved them out of the oppression and out of that environment, so they can end up their memories. But obviously, the panic disorder had made a structural changes in them in a form of mutation. So that demand changing the whole generation through 40 years and staying in deserts. So the following generation has acquired strength and endurance. Then the fourth clone being father-in-law and Madian clone. So we know that in Madian, before he came, there was corruption, and his father-in-law, who is an elder, was very fearful. His daughters can't even water their sheep, and so when he came, he asked him his protection. So the first in after ending the corruption is to spread settlement, and the settlement was shown in Moses' marriage, his body built, showing or showering or being a guardian to his father-in-law, being girding his properties, showing strength, so everyone felt contented that they are protected and secured. That is number one. So also that was mutual. So Moses, after continually being educated at the Pharaoh house and by God, now he has to practice what he has learned. So he had the opportunity to have admin experience. Part of settlement is to reassure people through light. So he has given everyone an opportunity to cherish, feel happiness through transferring his peaceful energy around the common source, around which is water, around which all gathers and water themselves and their sheep. We do have in this story as well animal clones, so and that represented in the following. We have sheep cloning that was at the end of his stay at Madian. He was about to move, and so to go back again with his family. So he has increased the fecundity of sheep, made them twin and triplet children production. He has also changed the color, the black color wool coat of them, and so he could have his own herd to go with. The second clone was cow clone, as we said, in that bright yellow cow that was very pleasant to whom to whom they saw. So that, to a degree, that its aura energy made a man alive after being dead. The third clone, which is monkey and big clone, has appeared when a group of Israeli people fishing on Saturday and eat what they have fished. So the aura DNA imprint of the fish, strengthened by God Nafs aura, has altered their human genome into monkeys and pigs, amphibian, and so their human nafs extruded and they became animal. Then we do have the punishment clones represented in frog clones, Lucas, accreted, grasshopper clones, insect clone, lice, and lastly, not even the whole creature clone, but part tissue clone, represented in his ability to turning water into blood and its component. So that's the human cell clone. It's a huge, it's an amazing, it's miraculous, and we are, as believer, have learned and been guided by his story and revelation. So and we all follow, as believers, whether Judaism, Christianity, and Muslims, we follow more or less the same God instruction. there is a note, whenever there was assault and assailants, God would wipe them and their aura energy. So how you can wipe human aura energy is through thunder, through shaking, so that is earthquake, through thunder from the sky, from tornado winds, and by spilling water on their aura. So you clean them with water. So people has been banished by floods, especially seawater, the salty seawater. We enough, never enough. Thank you very much, and I hope that helped people understanding more the morality and the existence of a human clone long back ago. And you have a wonderful day.